The news continues in West Africa, where African economists are seeking alternative external debt restructuring templates to redirect the current debt burdens on the continent to a sustainable level for a smooth recovery and economic growth. They made this call at the end of the three-day international conference on Africa debt crisis in Accra, Ghana. News Central's Odusoga reports.
As the International Conference on Africa Debt Crisis winds up in Accra, Ghana, the takeaways from the speakers here are focused on the alternative external debt restructuring template. And as we know, debt restructuring is necessary to bring debt burdens back to sustainable levels and limit the negative impact of greater debt servicing on what is already a fragile socio-economic environment like we have in African countries.
We've proposed quite a number of different elements. For instance, the issue of the involvement of the multilateral development banks in debt restructuring, the issue of the participation of private creditors in debt restructuring, both are not really binding.
Debt restructuring is a sovereign decision. Thus, the panel conversation highlights the options available to African countries and set out a number of key recommendations to guide countries and strengthen the continental debt restructuring framework.
Debt relief is essential, and all classes of debt, to the extent that they can actually be included, should be on the table, right, including multilateral debt. Second, innovations that can help African countries to not only improve debt sustainability, but also address their pressing development needs in terms of financing that is necessary for development and also for climate.
When the IMF comes to any individual country and looks at whether or not it can sustain its debt, it does this exercise called a debt sustainability analysis. It looks at GDP growth, looks at exports, and it says how much debt can this country actually carry. But a key part of how much debt it can carry depends on what the IMF is assuming that the government will do with its budget policies.
Economists here agreed on few things, and that's the fact that choices and approaches regarding public debt restructuring are mainly influenced by country-specific factors, which includes the national debt profile, the prevailing macroeconomic conditions, the structure of the domestic economy, and the political and economic considerations of the country in question. In Accra, Ghana, for News Central, Adesewa Odusoga.